I'm sitting.
All right.
Get over here.
That wakes everybody up.
That was my name. I was hearing there.
Welcome back,
They were
everybody,
blaming
from our
me.
break.
Covered.
And we have a
My turn.
public meeting today. So this public meeting is considered the amendment to the Town of Minto zoning bylaw number 0186 for property located at part lot 24 concession 1 is municipally owned as 135 Minto Road, Palmerston. I'll act as the chair of the public meeting. I'll call the meeting to order and request any member of the public present to please sign the attendance record book. I'll state the following. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Town of Minto before the bylaw is passed, a person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Town of Minto to the local planning appeal tribunal, and the person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the tribunal unless, in the opinion of the board, the reasonable grounds to do so. I'll ask Acting Clerk Duff to state the municipal address and legal description of the property and the purpose and effect of the application date notice are sent.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. The property subject to the proposed amendment is located on part lot 24, concession 1, and is municipally known as 135 Minto Road, Palmerston. The purpose and effect of the proposed amendment is to rezone the subject lands to permit the indoor cultivation of cannabis as part of a cannabis production facility to be licensed by Health Canada. The property is currently zoned industrial M1 zone. Other zoning relief may be considered for the proposal where appropriate. Notices were mailed to property owners within 400 feet or 120 meters of the subject property, as well as the applicable agencies on June 13, 2019, and posted on the subject property. Following comments were received from Jason Montgomery, the president of Tucker Industries, and we have PowerPoint coming up. Michelle Linasante, planner, County of Wellington, the report's attached, and she's here. Michelle Brown, Town of Minto building assistant, and her report is attached. And Jennifer Passy, manager of planning, Upper Grand District School Board, and her report is also attached.
Yep. Hey. Please. Come on up.
Afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
First, thanks for taking the time to hear from me about this issue. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, Belinda White-Graham, and everybody planning, zoning, and building departments regarding this zoning amendment for 135 Minto Road, Palmerston. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jason Montgomery. I am the owner of Tucker Industries, Inc., and its president currently, and which is currently operating at 135 Minto Road, Palmerston. The following presentation will give you a look into our plans for the future of our facility in Palmerston and why the zoning amendment is important to the business and the town of Minto as a whole. So just to give you a little bit of background, business history around Tucker Industries and 135 Minto Road. Tucker Industries, Inc. is a custom machine builder with experience in automotive, medical, mining, food production, postal, and material handling industries. We have been in continuous operation in the town of Minto since 2011 and at 135 Minto since early 2016. We currently employ 8 full-time employees, including mechanical designer, control systems specialist, various other roles including machinists and fabricators. The diversification of our operation will ensure the continued success as a business within the town of Minto. This project's goal, with municipal support, Tucker Industry intends to diversify into the legal cannabis cultivation, processing, and secondary equipment industries through the formation of Mulvera Technologies, short form MV Technologies. The proposed location for this new venture will be at 135 Minto Road, Palmerston, which is the current location of Tucker Industries, Inc. That being said, there will be no impact to the existing operations as they stand. This is strictly being coordinated as an expansion and not a 90-degree turn, we'll say. We do not intend to reduce our existing operations due to this diversification. As we approach final approval from Health Canada, We intend to lease 2 additional separate facilities, ideally within the town of Minto, to allow for the continuation of operations in our fabrication and custom machine building business. There will be no job losses for current operations with this expansion / diversification. Just a little bit of background info here, as there is a fairly significant change to the Health Canada regulations regarding cannabis cultivation as of May 8th. Health Canada will require new applicants for licenses to cultivate, process, or sell cannabis for medical purposes to have a fully built site that meets all the requirements of the cannabis regulations at the time of their application. Certain people will be grandfathered in that were quite a ways down the application process. However, most new applications are going to be required to be fully built out prior to even submitting an application. This change should speed up the application process for those already with a building in place. This we feel is a strong competitive advantage for MV Technologies in that we already have an existing facility that is quite suitable for indoor cannabis cultivation and processing. Regarding licensing, upon completion of build-out, MV Technologies Inc. intends to submit an application for license as a standard cultivator and processor under the Cannabis Act. Standard licenses have no ceiling on production capacity, and as such, a higher standard in terms of site and operational security compared to micro licenses. So the reason I mention this is although the risk may appear to be slightly higher in a standard cultivation license because of the lack of a cap on how much you produce, in reality, they generally are going to be a more secure, more discreet facility because of the fact that the standards are higher for the build out. This includes security measures, fencing, cameras, locks of all secure locations, a product vault on site, all the rest of it. So we feel standard cultivation is the best route to go towards, whereas I know some of our neighbors are looking at the micro cultivation license currently. Phase 1, this picture is a little bit of a difficult visual to see, but basically I've removed the walls and the roof from our current building. And what we plan on doing is putting grow pods within our facility. So based on the current building size, it is our intention to build out a facility to include 30 cultivation and support pods. Support pods being mother rooms, drying and curing, packaging rooms, clean off rooms, all the rest that goes along with this process. Each self-contained unit is sealed and precisely controlled for all growing conditions. On completion of phase 1, we estimate an annual production to be approximately 1,800 kilograms of dried flower per annum. Now, when we talk about grow pods, this is what we are actually looking at is a modified shipping container concept. And this is where our experience comes in. We will leverage our industrial automation experience to develop, utilize, and sell intelligent growth pods. Our automated systems will make us a very cost-efficient, small-scale, standard producer. As well, a secondary effect of using this pod system is that it mitigates any odor issues, as exhaust air is treated twice prior to exhausting to environment. There's a lot of benefits to this model in terms of the municipality and possible issues with the community surrounding. That's one of the biggest things I see as a big added benefit. Some of the larger standard producers are having odor issues currently because of the sheer scale and the fact that they are growing in the wide open spaces. This will not be an issue with us at all.
Jason, is this something you've developed on your own, the grow pod? Or
this is not a new concept per se. The biggest company currently doing it is Delta 9 in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and they're using a very similar model. However, their pod system lacks the intelligence that we plan on putting into it. They're basically refrigerating a shipping container and sending it to their customer is basically what they're doing. We intend to fully automate the process to improve yield, improve health and safety aspects, and hopefully make it a more cost-effective auction. So that's where we plan on developing some technologies. The box is being done by other people.
Sure.
We want to do the intelligence behind it.
Mhm.
We want to improve that.
Yeah, goodness, neat stuff. Yeah.
135 Minto, the physical location for anybody that isn't aware. This is an overhead view of it. We have approximately 3.5 acres of land in the Palmerston Industrial Park. Health Canada requires perimeter fencing, which is monitored 24/7 for a standard license. With proper permitting, working with Terry, we intend to fence approximately 1.75 acres in the first phase, as we are not building on our open land yet. This fencing will be 10 feet high with 3-strand barbed wire and will be continuously monitored. We'll also have a secured gate at the front. All these things are Health Canada requirements. So we will execute on that as soon as we possibly can with the proper permitting. This is kind of just a brief outline of the project timeline in general. So we're here today to request a zoning amendment to allow for the indoor cultivation. In July 2019, we also intend to release our RFQs for major building systems, including HVAC, control, security, and software and the like, as well as some of the smaller systems for the pods that we are currently developing. September 2019, contingent on zoning amendment and permitting, we'd like to install our perimeter fencing. And December 2019, I'd like to have the pods built, the first 8, which we consider phase 1A. With those pods being built and the other systems put in place, we'd be considered close to build out, and we'd be able to submit our application to Health Canada. With that, nobody knows exactly how long this new process will take. We're hoping that it cuts the application process in half from what it is currently, from about a year to 6 months, but nobody's quite sure. So we're anticipating June 2020 to start full production in terms of cannabis cultivation at phase 1 scale, which is 8 pods, and then August 2020 we would like to build out to the full 30 pods, which would be the completion of phase 1 and would yield the desired amount per annum. In terms of the business structure, it's a little bit unique in that MV Technologies is a technology-centric venture that'll have two distinct areas. So we want to leverage our automation experience in this new field or this new industry. So on the left we have our cannabis automation division. That's where we will develop automated solutions for the cannabis industry, and our intent is to sell those solutions to other small standard producers. The big guys, they have deep pockets and they're developing stuff on their own, but the small guys are left kind of stranded doing it the old school way, so to speak. So side 1 is development of the automation systems for the cannabis industry, and then side 2, almost as a corollary to the development of this technology, we want to use our own production as a test bed to continuously improve the technologies and the equipment and the systems that we develop. A side benefit to this is that it will in turn generate revenue for the company to ensure the sustainability of the venture. But the big thing is to develop new and interesting technologies through the internal use of the product. Quick overview of the team. The core group is existing with me. We are looking to hire prior to completion of build out. We'll be hiring a CFO. I'm a tech guy, not a numbers guy, so we think that's pretty important. As per Health Canada, we'll be required to hire a head of security. The facility will be monitored 24/7 based on the security plan that the head of security develops, and also a master grower to assist on the horticultural side of things to ensure that that runs smoothly. The existing manpower we have currently is myself. I will be acting as president and CEO. I'm an automation industry veteran. My right-hand man is Ben Rao. He'll be our technical manager, and he'll be handling everything on the floor in terms of developing the pods. He's a skilled mechanical designer with good controls experience, so he will take that lead. And he also has a good handle on Japanese manufacturing techniques that we've worked with over the last 20 years in the automotive industry. Aaron Burns is QA manager that's going to come on board once we're closer to completion and application, dealing with quality standards, again, as per requirements of Health Canada when processing materials. Mark Goldberg is currently signed on as a consultant. He is an industry veteran that has been involved with cannabis since well before the Cannabis Act 2018. He is leading the way in trying to pave a path and point us in the right direction as we go down these roads. He has ties to some of the biggest licensed producers in the country and has some very valuable experience. Project financials. So we kind of just given a snapshot here of what we're looking at. Phase 1, which is this very early stage, 8 pods, we're looking at capital expenditures of about $300K. Once that's running, we believe we'll generate a revenue of about $1.5 million per year. And then it scales from there. 1A, which would be the 30 pod build out, will be at $900K for capital expenditures, $5.4 million per year in revenue. And then as we go down that road, Phase 2 is a long ways out, but we intend to better utilize the land that we currently own to expand both the automation systems sale as well as the cannabis production side of things. The big thing to note here is we are intending to self-finance this project to allow us to maintain control over the project. I've been in business for quite a while, and we believe we have a scalable approach that will allow us to grow as kind of the demand drives it. So we would like to get this kicked off as quickly as possible, and with that, we prefer not to have a lot of outside investor involvement. We'd like to keep that to a bare minimum. So the intention is to self-finance this to keep the wheels rolling as quickly as possible. And also, just one thing to address is customer mix. Depending on how much you have been paying attention to the cannabis industry in Canada, there is concerns that the industry in general will become saturated, and I believe that is the case. Our intention is to look domestically, but more importantly, look internationally, Europe being the next big market. We believe that our automation technology, as well as possibly our product for export in terms of the cannabis flower, both might be opportunities. That's not to say that we're not intending to sell domestically. However, our focus will be outside of Canada, specifically any of the states that are looking towards legalization in the US, and then Europe as well. And lastly, I just kind of wanted to address as best I could some of the concerns that may come from the community. First and foremost, the town of Minto is our community, that being Tucker Industries. Our priority will be to impact our community positively with every decision we make. I've had nothing but good experiences since I set up shop in the town of Minto, and I would do nothing to jeopardize that. And that's why I'm here today asking for the zoning amendment as opposed and doing it the proper way. Some of the things that the community may be interested in is first off, safety and security. So obviously with any of these facilities, there's full perimeter fencing. There's no access in or out. Not only that, the perimeter, the fencing is monitored for movement and intrusion, unwanted intrusion. So it's a very safe and secure setup. Also, dual factor security for the site entrance and any secure areas within the facility. So this means that not only will you need a passcode, but you also will need something like a key fob to gain access to the site, as well as gain access to sensitive areas, including flowering rooms, the vault, any of the mother rooms, or anything of that nature. This is going to minimize any possible illicit activity from anybody that slips through the cracks in terms of vetting whenever we hire. There will be 24/7 security on site. They will be managed by the head of security. And we will always cooperate with local law enforcement in any sort of matter that comes up, whether it's tours, information sessions, anything of that nature. Regarding the environment, so as I mentioned earlier, we have two-stage odor mitigation. First being coming directly out of our pod systems. The second being a more global building-wide odor mitigation system. However, the bulk of the work should have been done at the pod level to begin with. So I honestly do not believe that odor mitigation will be an issue, whereas it might be a little more so in greenhouse scenarios or something like that. We have no light pollution whatsoever due to it being a sealed indoor grow and again not being a greenhouse. There will be a focus on water filtering, recycling, etc., to minimize water usage. Water is a major cost, and there's only so much of it out there on top of it being an expense. So we will be focused on using as little water as possible, given that it's a growing industry. We have to use some, but we're going to try to minimize that effect. There will be no exterior sound pollution, as everybody can imagine. It's a fairly quiet process, and it'll actually probably be quieter than my fab shop is currently, so there won't be any hammering or anything of that nature. In terms of employment, we see this as a benefit to the area. There will be multiple trades positions that will need to be filled during build out, most likely through contractors. We will need 3 to 6 skilled technical roles on site as we move forward. That'll be guys like programmers and control specialists and designers and technical guys that can troubleshoot and diagnose these intelligent pods that we're working on. But there will also be multiple entry level positions, which I think is very important in this area. Those are going to be things that we can start from the ground floor with people with very little experience. As long as they have a clean criminal record, we can teach them to trim and maintain crops and hopefully move up the ladder and go into assistant grower positions eventually. So I'm hoping to create some solid permanent positions with this project. Besides that, I welcome any questions you may have. Either now or if you think of them later, please give me a call. My number's here, or shoot me an email. So, if there's any questions.
Do you want questions now? Or do you want to wait till all the reports and then have the questions?
It's just questions about his techniques, basically.
Sure. Okay,
That-
go ahead.
It's nothing to do with the reports. When you talk about an automated pod, automated as in climate control, humidity levels, because you're still going to have growers, right? It doesn't eliminate the people growing.
It doesn't eliminate. We're doing a few unique things, or we think we're going to do a few unique things. There's a lot of wasted travel in growing in general. So yeah, first off, we're going to, and it's stuff that's already being done. We're automating humidity, climate control, CO2 levels, fertigation, so nutrients into the water, watering schedule, lighting schedule, all the rest of it. That's all going to be done. That's a core part of the pod. However, we're also intending to use a little bit of a take from the automotive industry and start to move the product more automatically, as opposed to moving a person to the plant. So if we do that, we can fit more plants into a smaller area because we don't need walkways. So that's, once we start talking about automation, that's what we start getting into, is we just reference it as move the plant. And we have a variety of techniques to do that, and that includes both getting the plants into the pod at seedling, getting the plants out of the pod, as well as checking the plants while they're in the pod. We really, most automotive guys hate them, and we do too. We hate aisleways, we hate walkways. So we're trying to capitalize on that to a certain extent. We feel that hasn't been done to the fullest extent that it could be for the small producer.
Yeah, let's see.
I have one. What is the mother room?
So the mother room, generally speaking, most producers don't grow from seed. They grow from mothers. which are just mature female plants.
So they do cuttings?
Yes,
Okay.
you do cuttings. The reason that is done is to ensure the genetic integrity of the plant, because when you take a cutting, it's an exact genetic
Right.
copy of that.
You're not
plant.
doing hybrids. You're not worrying about seed crossing and so forth and so on.
No, that comes down the road once we gain some more experience. Our genetics will be proven genetics purchased
Right.
on the open market that's available currently.
Okay.
Once we gain experience, then our master grower, that will be something that you look at is trying to improve the yields or keep
improve the strains or whatever. But
for now, we're going to take some proven genetics and then grow mothers and plant from mothers. That's the plan.
Interesting.
No. Okay, so we'll just have a seat, Jason, and then we'll stake around because we may have other questions. So, Michelle, did you have your report? Did you want to?
Thank you, Mayor Bridge, members of council. Mine's a little briefer than Jason. Obviously this is not the first application like this that we've seen. So the purpose of this amendment is actually to permit the indoor cultivation of cannabis on the subject lands. As Jason mentioned, it is within the existing building located at 135 Minto Road. So the amendment is actually about introducing the agricultural use, so the cannabis cultivation into the existing M1 zone, which allows for the processing. As we've heard, the proposed facility is subject to federal legislation, and approval must be obtained from Health Canada, above and beyond any other requirements that we would have at the municipal level. We have no objection to the proposed amendment and are satisfied that the proposal is consistent with the PPS and in general conformity with the county official plan. We've prepared a draft zoning bylaw for your consideration, and then it's attached to the report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions for Michelle? Well, we've been through this walk before, so it works out pretty good. Yeah, good. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you.
And then, Michelle, you're doing, it's just mine, ditto on it. Like, anybody need anything from the town one? And Jennifer Assey, Manager Planning Upper Canada, Upper Grand District School Board report is attached. I didn't think there was anything on there. So I guess that moves me on to the next section here. Shall call on the applicant and their agent to provide comments regarding the proposed amendment. We've already sort of done that. I'll call on the county planner. I did that. Anyone wishing to comment in favor of the proposal? Anybody wishing to comment in opposition? Applicant or agent given an opportunity to rebuttal. And okay, members are. Okay. You guys have asked all your questions you want to ask? It was Jason. That was well done.
That was really well done report. Good report.
Really, that was really good. Yeah, you should take that one on the road. Yeah. And what I'm really excited about is the fact that, and I know how well you've grown your current business and how you've developed with the auto industry and all the neat things you do over there. To see it going to the next step. Terry and myself and Belinda, we were up at Kincardine at the greenhouse one up there, and there's a lot of labor intensive stuff there. So if you can actually, you're right. I mean, all the aisles and all the other things, the extra waste, or not waste, but the space that they have to get into the plants. If you can move the plants to you and just be like they're sort of like a milk parlor, right? Yeah, bring the cows to you, right? Yeah, perfect. Anyways, that's neat. That's neat stuff. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Okay, so I will state if you wish to be notified of the decision of the Council of Town Minto in respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application, you must make a written request to the Deputy Clerk of the Town of Minto at 5941 Highway 89, Harrison NOG 1ZO, or email at annaline@town.minto.on.ca. There's no further comments. I will adjourn this public meeting. There we go. Thank you. Oh, back on the roll here. Moved by Deputy Mayor Turton, second by Councillor Anderson. The committee of the whole convenes into regular council meeting. All in favor? Notice the motion? Okay, I got it, Corey. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor McKenzie. Well, that's not the right one.
Oh, that's not the one we want.
Yeah, we're out of order here.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. The Council of Town of Minto ratifies motion made in the committee of the whole. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Deputy Mayor Turton. The bylaw number 20 1961 to rezone 1835 Minto Road, Palmerston from industrial M1 to industrial exception M150 be introduced, read first, second, third time, passed over to council, seal of the corporation. All in favor? Oops. Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Councillor Gunson. The bylaw number 2019-62 to authorize the execution of the site plan agreement with 948193 Ontario Limited to proposed development on Arthur Street West, Harrison be introduced, read first, second, and third time, and passed over to council, seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor McKenzie. Bylaw number 2019-63 to authorize the sale of industrial lands on Noble Family Road, Palmerston Industrial Park to Dave Chulton Flooring Inc. be introduced, read first, second, and third time, and passed over to council, seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Gunson, second by Councillor Anderson. Bylaw number 2019-64 to set tax rates for 2019 and provide for the collection thereof be introduced, read first, second, and third time. Passed over to council, seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Deputy Mayor Turton, second by Councillor Elliott. Bylaw number 2019-65 to confirm the actions of the council of the corporation town of Minto respecting a meeting held July 7th, 2019 be introduced, read first, second, and third time, and passed over to council, seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor McKenzie, second by Councillor Dirksen. The council of the town of Minto adjourned to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor? Thank you, everybody. Well, good meeting.